Hello and thank you for joining us today for HCG's webinar on Essbase Aggregate Storage Option, ASO, the new features. My name is DJ Holscher. I'm a solution consultant here from HCG. In this presentation today, you'll learn about Essbase Aggregate Storage and some of the important new features in the 11 release. First, before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about my company. Here at HCG, we are Oracle Business Intelligence and Enterprise Performance Management Specialists. We are Oracle certified partners specializing in Oracle BI, EPM, or formerly the Hyperion products. We provide educational services as well as training. We're an Oracle approved education center and do custom education as well. On the product side, we are Oracle resellers, as well as we provide custom applications when the need arises. Here's an overview of what we'll be covering today. First, we'll look into why ASO was developed, then look at some of the key beneficial features along the way, and finally, we'll put our main focus on the discussion of the new features in Essbase 11 for ASO. So first, in order to get a full understanding of the new features of ASO, I feel it's very important to take a look back and see, why was ASO created in the first place? Well, block storage, or BSO, fit very well to some specific types of applications, namely your financial applications that usually tend to have dense data. However, it did not do a very good job with some types of applications, specifically those that were extremely sparse in nature and that required very large outlines. Also where batch times were very critical and where data volumes were immense. So to accommodate these applications that required extremely sparse data sets, had extensive dimensionality or small update windows, ASO was developed. Aggregate Storage Option, or otherwise known as ASO, was introduced in 2005 in the version 7.1 release of Essbase, and was actually designed for very large, mostly read-only applications. It supports much larger dimensions than block storage, as well as a greater number of dimensions. ASO allowed for much greater scalability. On average, it was actually 10 times more than block storage. Batch windows defined by the load and calculation time was on average 100 times faster actually. It was able to do this while even having a smaller footprint than a block storage database. So ASO enabled Essbase to go beyond its core strengths that block storage gave into other parts of the enterprise. So on the left-hand side of the screen here we have the what if, business rules, forecasting, allocations, and currencies. All of those types of applications work perfect in the block storage database. Well, so we were still lacking prior to ASO coming out on the different applications that we have listed on the right here in the red box, like the massive data volumes, real-time data mining, navigation, or having very sparse data. Once ASO was introduced, these different application uses of Essbase became available and much more easier within the aggregate storage option. So there's a broad spectrum of analytic applications that companies implement across departments and divisions to manage your business performance. Well, what you see here are some samples of the different types of applications and the different requirements that these applications have. Those in the boxes are actually types of applications that block storage had some problems with, which when ASO was introduced, it was designed to help make Essbase available for those types of applications. So for instance, customer analysis, which had many dimensions, procurement analysis, where you have many different vendors and have to be tracked, or the logistics, which has to be close to that real time. ASO helped to fill in the gaps that block storage couldn't provide for those types of applications within Essbase. Now, block storage is still, always has been and continued will be beneficial for using for your sales forecasting, profitability analysis, and your financial consolidations. So when ASO was first introduced in the version 7.1, there were some limitations, and here's just a sample of some of those limitations that were in that 7 release. These are limitations that Hyperion and now Oracle, after the acquisition, have been working on addressing since that 7 release. Those include the level 0 data loads only, data load performance, no time balancing, the write-back capability wasn't there, and the complex calculations capabilities wasn't there. So let's take a look at some of the key new features along the way that helped eliminate some of these limitations, as well as the new features in 11 now that help to continue to eliminate or make some of these limitations a lot more easier to work with. So first off, when System 9 was introduced, there were some updated features available in ASO, and these included improved restructuring, where in most cases you could now change a database outline and restructure without clearing data from your database. It also improved the ability to export level 0 data from an ASO database. There were some kernel improvements which addressed and enhanced support for deep hierarchies. It improved the database compression and introduced a new tool to help choose the accounts dimension by estimating what the database size would be depending on which dimension is tagged as accounts. Also introduced in System 9 was the outlines were now supported the duplicate member names. And lastly, the extended substitution variable support was now available for outline formulas, security filters, areas and mappings for definitions of partitions, MDX statements, rules files for DNS, and rules file specifications for dimension and member names in the data load. So then next, in the next big release that came out with some things was in the 9.3 release. In the 9.3 release, time intelligence was introduced for ASO. It included automated time dimensions and expanded functionality of understanding time as a continuum, cross-tab reporting of time, MDX functions to work with time, loading based on timestamp, and a wizard-driven process was introduced as well. In 9.3, Hyperion introduced the concept of intelligent aggregations, where you can now define hard restrictions for a dimension. And finally, dynamic ranking was introduced as a new MDX functionality. In the Essbase 9.3.1 release now, which was an Oracle release, some additional functionality was added. These included concurrent data loads, multiple load buffers, it included the concurrent data loads, which were the multiple load buffers to exist on an ASO cube. It allowed you to load basically the data simultaneously and use multiple data buffers. Also introduced was the incremental data loads, which was another feature introduced and includes the streams or trickle feeds is what you may know them as. And this allows you to get your data updated incrementally in slices, which allows for that close to real-time data. Also introduced in 9.3.1 was query cancellation to allow you to cancel a query when in maxl or scommand. And finally, the write back to level 0 was introduced in 9.3.1, although at that time it was undocumented, and now in the 11 release it was fully documented.